Hey guys, welcome back to the Style and Beauty Doctor on YouTube, and in today's video we are going to be going over my typical foundation routine, highlight, contour, do I use primer, do I not use primer, what foundations, so let's get into it. So the most important part of my foundation routine is, of course, the skincare. So I want to make sure that, my skin is nicely cleansed, that it's properly hydrated, that I'm protecting it from the sun with some SPF. And, depending on the time of year, depending on what the weather's doing outside, I'm going to pick my moisturizer because I want my moisturizer and my foundation to match the weather conditions outside. So basically what I'm saying is, in the summertime I might go for a more lightweight moisturizer, maybe a mattifying moisturizer. In the summertime I'm usually going to go for foundations that'll last longer, things that are more on the matte side but not too matte, because I don't like a casket sharp matte, I like a satin matte, but something that's essentially going to last in the warmer weather. Then as it starts to cool down, my moisturizer is going to change. I'm probably going to use something that's more hydrating, sometimes it might be thicker in consistency, but nowadays moisturizers can also be, a thinner consistency but have really potent hydration properties to it. Then as the weather cools down, I might probably wear the same foundation that I was wearing in the warmer months, but I'll just, tweak things with the moisturizer that I'm wearing. Or I might go for, some of the more dewier finish foundations when the weather gets cold, like when it gets really, really cold, because it can get really, really cold here in New York. So always assess the season and then the changes in weather within the season, because, you can have drastic weather changes. Like it was cold as heck here recently, just like a week or two ago, and today it's hot. It's going to be in the 80s. So I made sure that I put on the appropriate moisturizer for that. Okay, so when it comes to primer, I don't need primer every time I do my makeup. I only really use a primer if I'm going to be in extremely hot weather, like if I'm on vacation someplace tropical, or if I know I'm going to be out all day from super early in the morning and not getting in until super late at night, then I'll use a primer. And when I do use a primer, these are two of my faves. My first fave being the Mally Beauty Perfect Prep Primer, and then my second fave being the Fenty Beauty, the original primer. Now today I'm going to be using the Juvia's Place foundation. I wear shade Kenya, which is shade 200. I'm pretty much wearing this today because I'm planning on wearing it Tuesday because I have to be on TV again and I'm doing my own makeup. So I was like, you know what, let me give this I've worn it so many times and I love the finish, but let me just, kind of give it a test run before I actually, do the things. But I tend to rotate my foundations depending on how I'm feeling, depending on the season, depending on, so many different factors. Recently I've been rotating between these three. So the Dior Forever 24-Hour High Perfection Skin Caring Foundation. I wear shade 6.5N. The Urban Decay Stay Naked Foundation, I wear shade 80NN. Or the Cover FX Total Cover Cream, I wear shade N110. And all those N's you're hearing, I have a neutral undertone. I have almost equal amounts red in my skin as I do yellow. And then sometimes I'll go in with the Dior Face and Body Foundation, which I got before I got the Dior Matte Foundation that I just showed you, but this one is still a beautiful staple in my foundation wardrobe. And if you're curious about what shades I wear in other foundations, there is a link to a blog post in the description box, so make sure you check that out. Now let's get in a little closer. Maybe a little too close? Why not? Okay, so with the Juvia's Place foundation, this is super full coverage. A very tiny amount goes a long way. So go in with a small amount because a little bit goes a long way with this foundation, and it's so much easier to build up than to put too much on. Well, not just with this foundation, but any foundation. If you put too much on, it's harder to bring it back and dial it down. So a little bit at a time, and layer is the key. Now, I love how this is full coverage, but it gives a nice skin-like finish. You can also manipulate the finish of this foundation if you want to sheer it out and, you know, make it more of like a lightweight foundation. You can do that. You can add some of your moisturizer to it. You can add a little bit of a facial oil to it if you wanted to. You know, some days you want more coverage and some days you want less coverage, so that way you can kind of make the most out of the foundation. And honestly, given how inexpensive this foundation is, I believe it's only like 20 bucks. It's amazingly bomb. Just gonna put a little bit more and then, you know, add a little bit more where I need it, because again, we're layering. A little bit goes a long way. My discoloration, most of my discoloration on my face tends to be on my eyelids and underneath my eyes. And then I have a little bit on the rim of my nose. Is that the rim? You know what I mean, like right here. Like where you put the sunglasses. Or, well, yeah, sunglasses for me. But sometimes people who wear eyeglasses may have that little bit of hyperpigmentation there. Okay, it is like a gazillion degrees in here because I had to turn the air conditioning off so that you could not hear that loud noise in the background. It's not even that loud. The camera picks it up and it sounds terrible. And I use natural light, so the blinds are open. Whew, and it's, like I said, it's gonna be 80 degrees today. So then what I do is I set with powder. Today I'm using the Nars light reflecting loose setting powder. I just bought this. I went to my friend Jaleesa's makeup class that she was teaching at Nars. I had to go support my Trini sis, and so I bought. There was a product minimum, so I bought this. It's okay. I'm gonna have to do an updated video on like the setting powders in my stash, because I find that I have too many, because I have some that I buy that I like and then I get sent some that I like, and I'm like, we gotta narrow this down. So down the line I will do a video on loose setting powders that are in my stash. So the shade here is Sunstone. I think this only comes in 2 shades, this one and then a lighter one. And I'm using an Eco Tools brush. I'm going to set my foundation. So if you have a drier skin type when it comes to setting your foundation, one, you may not want to set the foundation. You know, try that out. Or 2, just kind of give it a little touch up in areas where you might get a little shiny, you need a little bit more coverage, like maybe like in the T-zone area. Because with dry skin especially, you don't want to go ham on the powder, because what happens is the powder can settle and make dry skin look even drier, and we don't want that. From this point, I do my eyebrows, I put on my eye makeup, and then I highlight and contour. If you want to see me do my eye makeup, I'm going to film that on my IGTV. So make sure you go to my Instagram. I'll put it in the screen, and also I'll have a link in the description box so you can check that out. Okay, I don't love what I have on my eyes. You'll find out why. I'll leave a link to my blog post in the description. But I'm just like, but I made it work because 1, I got people waiting on me and I gotta go, and 2, I ain't trying to refilm this. So the lighting seems very warm now, so just keep that in mind. It got really warm, very yellow. Okay, so now I'm gonna highlight and contour. I'm using the Nars Soft Matte Concealer, Soft Matte Complete Concealer in Almond, medium dark / 3. Medium/dark 3. And I'm using the Ashunta Sharif Perfect Blend brush just to lay that down off up in there. So when you're highlighting and contouring, it is super important to keep your face shape and the facial features that you want to make more pronounced, and maybe those that you don't want as pronounced. you know, you take all of that into consideration, because if you go blindly follow the way someone else highlights and contours, you know, you might not get a desirable look because that person has a different face shape than yours and a different highlight contour technique. And to find out more about highlighting and contouring mistakes, I have a video, so make sure you check it out. I'll link it above and in the description box. And I'm contouring with the Total Cover Cream from Cover FX in shade N120. Again, the shades that I wear and various foundations and what I do wear, blah, 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 blah. There's a blog post linked in the description box, and then I'm just using the MAC 152S brush to apply this. The lashes, by the way, are the Queen Bee, the Cocoa Lashes, the lashes, by the way, are from Cocoa Lashes, and they are the Queen Bee. Okay, so then to highlight underneath my brow bone, I'm using the Bobbi Brown Creamy Concealer in Almond, the Assunta Sheriff brush, just the pointed tip end. And just getting that in there just to make the brows a little bit more sculpted and to sculpt the face. I'm going back in with the Beauty Blender to blend. Now, some questions that you may ask. Why are we highlighting and contouring? Okay, hopefully I wasn't cut off too much because the card got full while I was speaking. Anyway, so I'm blending with the Beauty Blender to blend out the highlight and contour. So as I was saying, you might be like, you know, why are we highlighting and contouring? That seems like a lot. Like, what's up with that? There are many reasons why one may highlight and contour, but one of the main reasons, especially with those of us who are people of color, we're not all one color. A lot of us, the perimeter of our face is darker than the center of our face, and then we've got the whole balance thing going on with our neck and chest, and you're not trying to match everything up exactly, but you do want an overall balance where it looks like it makes sense, like your head doesn't look like it's floating off your neck. So what highlighting and contouring does is it mimics that natural coloring that we have in our skin, and that's provided if you're not using highlight and contour colors that are very drastic. So that's one reason why you might highlight and contour. Another reason why you might highlight and contour is to bring dimension back in your face, because after you've put your foundation on, the face looks very one-dimensional, and highlighting and contouring just kind of brings that dimension back into the face. Now, highlighting and contouring is not the only way to do that. What you can also do is, you know, just use your concealer, a lighter concealer underneath your eyes, and then you can warm the perimeter of your face with bronzer. And then a lot of times by the time you add your blush and your lashes, if you're wearing lashes or mascara, those are also things that can bring dimension back into the face. It doesn't involve highlighting and contouring. Now to set my highlight, I am using the Dior Skin Forever Extreme Control number 60 pressed powder, and I'm using this Nars blush to apply it. I've been kind of going back and forth. I think I want to get a more narrow brush to set my under eye. I like this one, but a lot of times I feel like it's a little too big for this area. I don't know. If I get something smaller, it'll be something inexpensive just to kind of test the waters, and then maybe I'll get something more substantial. Because my favorite brushes come from MAC, and I've had my MAC brushes for like probably a little over a decade. Like, bristles are still going strong. The handles on the other hand might look a little cracked. I probably can't read the number on some of them, but they work. It Cosmetics also makes great brushes, and the Sephora collection pro brushes are really bomb too. If you have favorite brushes, leave them in the comments so we can all talk about makeup brushes. I also like e.l.f. brushes, so e.l.f. I'll buy something inexpensive from them, like if it's a brush that I really want to try out, or something I know I'm not going to use that often. There's also Sigma. I don't have too many Sigma brushes, but I might look at Sigma for a more narrow brush to go underneath here. Now I am setting my foundation with the Pressed Minimal powder from Cover FX in shade N120, which is also the same shade of the cream color that I used, and I'm using the MAC, I think this says 129 brush to apply it. Now I like to use a cream to lay it down and then set with powder, just because that active layering helps the makeup to last longer. And that is a trick to getting your makeup to last, layering. Then I'm going in with my fluffy brush to blend everything out. This is the Sephora Pro number 59 brush. It is called the Foundation Powder, Precision Powder. I don't know. It's rubbed out. But the brush I like. Then I go in with blush. Lately I've been using the Natasha Denona Blush and Bloom palette, which I love. It's a mostly cream blush and highlight palette that I just adore. I love the way it looks on my cheeks. But in the past I have also used the Nars Wanted 2 palette, which is mostly matte. There's this row is matte, these are shimmers. And they look similar to each other, except the Natasha Denona has creams in there. So, and then I also held on to like this Nars Pro Palette that I made a while back when they first came out with these Pro Palettes. You know, Nars gave beauty bloggers codes so they can, you know, fill up their own palettes. So these are just some blushers from Nars, and these are from Inglot. And the names of them I will link to a blog post where I have named those. I haven't used this in a while. I don't know, I might give it to one of my makeup artist friends. I'm going to put the Glow Cream base on first. It is extremely hot in here. So if I look greasy, it is because of the heat. And then I'm going to go in with the color. Now, blush adds a nice, healthy flush of color to the skin. The darker your skin, the brighter you want to go with your blush. Trust me, if you go in with a punk-ass pink on a rich skin tone, it is not going to show up. And if it does show up, it's going to look quite ashy. The darker your skin, the brighter the blush color. And if you make a mistake and you put a little bit too much, like I just did, you can just go in, dip your fluffy brush in some loose powder, and bring it down a little bit. Alright, so I'm off before I get cursed out. So let me know in the comments, what is your foundation routine? Again, links to blog posts with my various foundation shades from, you know, different brands and whatnot will be linked in the description box, as well as other blog posts and videos that will help you with foundation reviews, highlighting and contouring mistakes, yada yada. It's going to be in the description box, so make sure you check it out. Also in the description box, links to follow me on social. Make sure you follow your girl, and I will see you fine folks in my next video. Bye guys.